Lord Draven Varen sat upon his horse and looked west into the vastness of the Pale Basin. A great western host had come to take his land, his home, his people. Someone had to stop them, so Draven had asked the High Star for aid. The High Star is the god of the Astari. They believe he dwells within the body of their ruler and makes his will known through the chosen human vessel. Their faith demands that every living thing exist in alignment with the order of the stars. To reject alignment is sin, and sin must be corrected, often by force. Thus, to the Astari, war is not something to be avoided. It is holy duty, realignment. When a new land is conquered, the High Star makes two demands. The first is worship. Foreign gods may survive, but only beneath the star god. Old stories are rewritten. Old temples are broken, changed, and raised again as cloisters of the High Star. There, disputes are settled through combat. A man may fight for his honor, his property, his innocence, or his life. The outcome reveals the High Star's will. For this reason, the lowborn often see Astari rule as opportunity, a new order where a man may rise without lineage, without coin, without noble favor. All that is required is life, one life given, and many lives taken. The High Star's second demand is tribute. Conquered lands are taxed heavily, heavy enough to stir unrest, heavy enough to birth rebellion. The Astari welcome it, for rebellion leads to war, and war is worship, realignment. The High Star had promised reward to the man who could end the invasion. Eager to please their god, many lords rode out to face the great western host. The first army broke within the week, the second within the day. It was said the third scattered the moment the first arrows fell among its soldiers. Draven watched helplessly as the enemy drew nearer to his family's remaining lands. His eyes still burned with youth. His family had noble blood, but little else. Their holdings lay upon Astara's western border and consisted of poor farmland and a few old fortresses. Still, he rode out to face them, an Astari through and through. First, he gathered what remained of the three broken armies. In time, that force would be known as the Crestfallen. Yet even with their swords added to his own, Draven had too few men to defeat the host alone. So he asked for aid from outsiders. To many Astari lords, this was humiliation. A lord of the stars did not require help from lesser beings. Draven did it anyway. The Pale Basin answered, for all would suffer if the western host continued to roam free through its lands. First Counselor Morel of Cassilium sent the Condors, 8,000 veteran soldiers sworn to the defense of the great city. The Marshfolk sent 20,000 warriors drawn from scattered tribes that had never fought beneath one banner. They had been united by a man called Rowan of the Marsh. The deep city of Areth had fewer than 1,000 soldiers, but they were led by its finest commander, Arena Vosk. By then, Vosk had already been fighting the western host in her own way, and where 3 Astari generals had found defeat, she had found something else. She never offered the enemy the battle they desired. She raided their supplies. She sounded horns through the night and denied them sleep. Pursuers were led into deep mud, hidden pits, or hunting paths where starved wolves searched for prey. Yet these were not Astari tactics, and desperate or not, Draven would not build his legacy on cowardice. The Astari do not run. They hold their ground until victory or death, whichever comes first. They are not led by outsiders, and they are certainly not led by a woman. So another plan was made. Draven would march openly against the western host. His army would make camp in one of the deep valleys where the ground narrowed between stone and marsh. The western host came at dawn. They fought from horseback, loosing arrows and wheeling away before the iron horsemen could reach them. Asteri riders wore iron, so did their horses. Their charge could break almost any line. But they could not catch mounted bowmen clad in light leather, loosing arrows even as they fled. Men fell, horses screamed, the valley filled with mud, blood, and bodies pierced by arrows. Still, Draven and his men held their ground. No retreat, no surrender. The enemy sounded their horns. Their bowmen cheered and laughed. For a moment, victory seemed to belong to them. Then another horn answered from behind. Arena Vosk had taken hidden paths through the high ground and struck the western host from the rear. Their escape was cut off. They had nowhere left to run. Their formation collapsed. Men rode in every direction. Horses crashed into their own. The great western host that had felled 3 Astari armies came apart before noon. The few surviving riders fled west into the plains, and the victory birthed Draven's legend. Outnumbered and outmatched, he had held his ground, and the High Star had rewarded his courage. At least, that was the story sung in Astara. Draven was rewarded with coin, with lands, with iron horsemen to fill his ranks. Years passed. Draven rose in station and favor. So did his family. The name Varen was now spoken in praise. Then, one day, the High Star gave Draven a new command. To prevent future threats from the west, the Pale Basin would be brought fully under Asteri control. In return, Draven would wear the title of High Lord. He would be given a palace in the royal city. His name would be carved into the marble of the royal pantheon. His son, Draven Varen, received the news with great delight. "Patience, my son," Draven said. "Most wars are won before the first sword is drawn." He motioned to the great map laid across the table. "Let us win this one in similar fashion." And so began the War of the Pale Basin. By its end, those who survived would give it another name. A war that broke lords, kings, and emperors. A war of smoke, of hunger, of pain without measure. The war no victor would praise.